Good evening. Welcome to the Petaluma Community Access Board of Directors meeting for Tuesday, December 17, 2013. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Cindy Thomas.
Here.
Neil Fishman. Matt Pearson. Here. Jason Davies, myself, I am here. Rachel Moran is absent. Got a note from her before. George Utrilla, absent. Kathy Rivas.
Here.
Yeah. Marcia Trent.
Here.
Tim Williamson.
Here.
John Bertucci.
Here.
Thanks.
Okay, we have quorum, so I have no public comment that I'm aware of.
Nope.
Okay. Board of Directors comments and announcements.
Yes,
Who's that?
I have a couple.
Unless you do. We'll do
No.
ladies first.
I don't.
If you do, okay. What
Any
about
bit.
you?
Okay.
Okay, the ladies are ready. Go ahead.
Thanks. So just had a couple of announcements. First, I want to remind everyone that the City of Petaluma has a new business-friendly website called petalumastar.com. It's been specially designed for attracting and retaining businesses and helping people expand and keeping plugged into all of the good things that Petaluma can do for the business community. Second of all, the city is entertaining the idea of renewing our contract with CGI. These are the people responsible for building and maintaining the community video panel on the front of the website. You go to the cityofpetaluma.net, scroll down, and a little community video tour book is the thing that we're talking about. The renewal constitutes possibly redoing some of the videos. There are 10 one-minute community promotional videos, and there are a number of sponsor videos and sponsor links. The project would entail redoing the videos, which are all professionally narrated and scripted, and then there are sponsorships to be sold and developed and maintained. The information is on cityofpetaluma.net/video. That's all.
Okay, thank you.
Wasn't that a dramatic ending?
That was a dramatic. That's great.
Matt?
Hey, if you guys been kicking around taking a class at the junior college, now is a great time to register. And if you have any challenges or troubles, we'll be having a registration event on January 11th, referred to as Super Saturday. So come on down, counseling, financial aid, and admissions records, and everybody there will be, all the people that you need to talk to will be there in one place to answer any questions you have over at the Petaluma campus. And classes start on January 13th. Thank you.
Lots of parking.
Lots of parking. Matter of fact, we just did a survey, and that's one of the things people like about the Petaluma campus was parking versus our other neighbors.
I like that it's 2 blocks away.
That too.
Nice. Is that it? Anything, Jason? No?
Nope.
Okay. Everybody's had a chance to look at the agenda, I'm assuming. And if there are no modifications to be made, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay. Does anyone? Am I missing? It's on the back.
Safe paper.
I just wanted. Okay, all those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay. Approval of minutes for the November 19 meeting. Any corrections to that? And if not, can we get a motion to approve those?
So,
Who?
Marcia.
Was there a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All those in favor? Aye?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, treasurer's report, please, Matt.
So treasurer's report, there's a little bit of confusion this month, and the report has some as John, when he emailed it to us, had a couple of errors in it, so he's going to answer some questions for us, but I have been assured that the bank balance statements are correct, and I'll be asking some questions a little later on, but I will turn it over to John.
Yes, as you can imagine, when I saw the third consecutive month with a negative P&L, I started to worry about trends, and this was a substantial one. We were like 6,000 negative. So I started on collating information. Our PEG fees have not diminished. And I pulled out all the costs attached to the studio. I managed to put that together. And then I went through the P&Ls for the last 6 months. And the key number is at the top. It's the community access fees. And if you look at your financials for the last sheet in the budget performance, that's probably the most useful document in the financials, because you can see what we've spent to date in the middle column. And what happens is when Brooke does the P&L, she calculates the income on the PEG fees as a percentage, an average percentage of the budget that we started with. And so with the budget of $225,000, that becomes 18,000, where is that? Excuse me just a minute. 18,750 would be the normal average. What happens there is she'll give us that for the 2 months when we don't have it coming in, and then when we do get the check, she does a correction, reconciliation. And if we have more money than we had averaged out that we would, she gives us a bigger number. What you'll see on ours here is, let's see, that's the regular one. So, a profit and loss for July, we had 18,750 as the community access fee. Well, that's an average number taken from our budget. Has no relationship to reality. Reality kicks in August when we cash the quarterly check. And in August she gave us, we had a community access fee of $23,800, correcting upwards because we apparently had more. Then we go back to 18,750 for the September, October, and then we came in this month, it'll be in your financials, we had 13,623. Well, that's why we had a minus 6,300. Now that figure struck me as odd because we didn't lose a lot of money. AT&T dropped maybe 2,000, but Comcast went up 1,500. So we're still within our budget in the sense that we had more than 56,000 in the quarterly check. 4 times 56 is 224. So we are within our budget. When I went back to Brooke and compared numbers, she realized she'd made a $5,000 mistake in that number. So our minus is only 1,000. And looking at the costs, why we have that, yeah, we had some exceptional costs this month as well. We paid $1,700 for the consultant for the radio LPFM. So yeah, I'm confident it's going to average out. We are operating close to the bone, but we had $30,000 carryover from last year, which I don't factor into my budget. It's added on after the fact. So I redid the budget, and because I did the budget in April and I didn't really understand all the costs that were going to go into the studio, I've had to redo the budget 3 or 4 times. I'll probably do it again when I get the financials for this second quarter, which will be the next board meeting. So I would love to have a financial committee review of the adjusted budget according to that. It's because, this plays also into our retreat theme of fundraising, because we are so close to the bone that we need to think bigger for the radio station. If we're going to incorporate that, if that's going to require extra staffing. That's the long and the short of it. If Cindy, you look like you have a question.
Yeah, I do. Okay, so this P&L statement was before she recognized the $5,000 error.
Yes.
Where is the $5,000 error then? Is it a one
She's-
particular line?
She said that she made an error in the reconciliation that she did in August.
Hmm.
I don't understand that personally, but she was able to correct that in 5 minutes when she found it.
Okay, I'm just, the 5,000 is a big number, so I can't imagine that it was in any one particular place, so that's why I'm wondering.
An easy mistake to make would be that we get 2 checks, one from Comcast, one from AT&T.
Yeah, it's gotta be a
The
big
city
number.
gives us 1 check number, but they give us an itemized accounting. So the check was for 56,000, but Comcast was 48. It's possible that she just took the 48 and didn't get the extra 7,000
Okay,
from. But it also, when she reconciles our anticipated PEG fees, she's reconciling in, let's see, she's reconciling in November for a check that we got in October for a quarter that ended in September. So we're constantly ahead of ourselves in what we're spending, anticipating that it's going to come in. It comes in after the fact and it has to be rippled back. I don't completely understand it, but I did isolate that as where the error came from in that number, and I understand it better now. But
well, yeah, that makes sense. That's a big number.
Yeah.
That's why I was wondering where it came from. Okay.
I think that's the easiest solution. But I saw her just as she was about to leave the office, so I'll touch base with her again. I'll get the corrected financials for this month and for August, so that when we get to our next annual review, we've got the right ones in there.
Can I ask John that maybe that we ask her to either color code those or whatever else you send out, so with what's been corrected?
Okay.
It's a good request.
And do we need to restate the last several months for that, or will we restate that quarter if there was a series of mistakes?
Depends when we isolate where the mistakes were made.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to say, I want on the record that I totally trust Brooke. She's been working for us since before I even came here 12 years ago.
So she said she made an error in recording the revenue.
Yes.
Okay.
And most of that, the revenue is quite often, it's either averaged or corrected after the fact, and the time frame is very loose. So it's a slippery number.
And we operate monthly, but we get quarterly revenue, so that's bound to contribute.
Yeah.
This is the first mistake that I've
Yeah.
known her to make, so
Yeah.
I'm not at all
She was
worried.
quite contrite.
I want to, it's a learning curve for us too. It's, why didn't one of us catch it? I don't know.
Well, I'm learning now because there are numbers in there that, how
For the
did,
same reason.
I don't.
Exactly.
We look at it monthly for something that's a
Exactly.
sort of quarterly. You could very easily miss it.
Yeah.
Well, and maybe we need to also ask that we do I mean, she does do a quarterly statement here on the P&L, but I guess when that gets revised, then we get the latest revision emailed to us.
Didn't we just submit a financial review as opposed to an audit?
That was for prior fiscal year.
Right.
Okay,
That's
so that
what-
doesn't impact.
So the snag occurred a month later.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else, Matt? Is that it?
No, I don't have anything else. It's just, John had flagged this when they emailed these to us, and it was on it, trying to figure out the resolution here. So,
Okay.
Yeah, I just was trying to make sure it wasn't a trend that we needed to prepare for. And the real trick, I could pass this around, I only have one copy, but I keep track of the pay fees come in annually, and like I say, people are abandoning AT&T and going to Comcast, so we're still within the margin.
Well, I've seen Comcast has
Don't
been
pass this along, you can just see.
exceptionally aggressive with their
Xfinity.
well, not just their switch office, their subsidized switching offers. So, you know, they're essentially been giving telephone and internet away with the TV for the price that the other people just offer TV for.
The other problem
Yeah.
is, honestly, in some areas, AT&T doesn't have the level of service that Comcast has. I actually looked into switching, and when I found out what speeds I was offered for internet,
Yeah, nationwide, it's pretty well known that AT&T's U-versus does not quite have the coverage that they were supposed to have been able to do. And they've had financial trouble getting the product out.
Well, by product design, it only goes to 24 megabits. That's why you saw Comcast just doubled all theirs.
Yeah.
So the base is, most of them are 25 to 50, 60.
And Comcast uses infrastructure that's been in place for a long time.
Yeah, but their infrastructure doesn't,
And they just upgraded it.
hinder them as much.
Okay. Did you want to? If there's nothing else, then we can move on to the executive director's report. Thank you, Matt. John, you're up.
Yeah, well, let me see what it is. Okay, yes, we'll be doing our annual office closure. Actually, we'll be closing at 6 o'clock on the 24th, and then we're back in business on Thursday the 2nd. I usually take the full time off. Staff has traditionally come in and done back end work, and this time there's two projects. There's an inventory project to get rid of old stuff out of the storage unit. Jason is working with us on that, trying to find out what we can sell and what we can't sell, getting rid of what we can't sell, no longer carrying it. And then there will also be a complete review of all of our equipment, an inventory update to see what needs repair, missing batteries, that sort of thing. I'm presenting the POV screening. We have monthly screenings of public PBS documentaries. Point of View is the series POV, and the film I'm showing tomorrow is really kind of extraordinary. It's called Nostalgia for the Light. You can pass the little invitations around. It's pretty profound, philosophically. It's about a desert, a high desert in Chile, where there's an observatory. Because the air is so clear, you can see into the past. Because basically when you look at stars, you're seeing light that's taken light years to get here. So the star could be gone, and we're looking at the light that's still coming. So that's looking into the past, but it's also, this desert is where the death squads dump the bodies. So there's mothers and cousins and children looking for bones of their loved ones.
Wow.
So the past is very pregnant at this spot. And I've seen the documentary, it's quite remarkable. We have popcorn, we have priority seating for PCA members.
Get all excited.
And since we have a full house at 15, you gotta come. You should. We've been running this for about 6 months. We opened up with a bang. We had full house the first 2 times. Then it started to dwindle. Sometimes we've had nobody show up. So we don't know if we're going to continue this. We just want to use the lobby for screening in a community sense, and it could evolve. Right now we've set it up so that each staff member gets to pick a movie they want to present, and they become the host, and Amy is looking one for January. But I'm excited about this one tomorrow night if you're free. And then we have a staff party planned. That's a potluck. It's Thursday this week. It's at 6 o'clock, 6 to 8. If you're coming, please bring a Secret Santa gift, $5 maximum. And here's the Mario, who's doing camera tonight, put together this little list of who's bringing what. And Thomas prepared a list that's going around the office. It's a lot of fun. He found a dozen Christmas movies. We're all voting on what movie we want to see.
I have a question on the Secret Santa. Are you doing it with the white elephant rule where people take the gifts out?
Yes.
I hate that, really?
Oh, yes. Yeah, fist fights on Christmas. It's no fun at all. I want that.
White elephant rule?
It's where you get to steal someone's gift if you like it. And
Oh.
then yeah,
And then the last item on the agenda is the stolen camera. We had a member who signed up and joined us in August, and in September came back with the story that this camera was stolen. And, you know, we tried to work with him. He's not got the kind of money where he could give us the $2,000 that he owes us. I've got the police report. It's not, I mean, it's a suspicious event. I'm not sure if he has the camera. I've been trying to negotiate with him and meet with him to say, okay, you don't have to pay the full 2,000. We'll take 1,000. It was one of our older cameras, but I've just reached the point where the dialogue is over. I'll probably go to small claims court next month if you think that's necessary. Otherwise, it could be written off as a cost of doing business. I could investigate insurance. You know, I'm at the point now where I'm through negotiating with him. I was going to be.
we don't know that he stole it?
We don't know who stole it. He said he parked in the wrong area in San Jose, left the car for 5 minutes. It was locked when he left it. It was locked when he came back.
Did he do a police report?
He did a police report. And the police report, I've got it.
Oh,
But he said he left the car for 5 minutes. It was locked when he left it, and it was locked when he came back.
Well, there is some cases of people, they're found where the key fobs for certain makes and models of cars, or they're, like they were having problems with Hondas, that someone made a master key fob that unlocked every Honda.
Well, let's just
Unlock
say,
it.
we have suspicions about this fellow because he's connected to another person who we've had problems with.
I guess I was talking to Mario about that a little bit ago, and does he have car insurance that would cover the loss?
I don't think so. Well, I could ask him, but,
And
you know, the
we take
whole
claim
effort,
from-
he was living in Nevada when he became a member, and when the camera was stolen, he had moved to San Jose, and he had the camera in San Jose. So there are a lot of violations of our rules. You're not supposed to leave Sonoma or Marin County without permission from the executive director with our equipment.
Well, if you turn it over to our insurance, they're gonna wanna subrogate to his anyway.
Yeah.
Either his homeowners or his auto policy.
Was this person providing content to air?
No,
Mario would be able to answer that.
Different Mario.
He had just became a member,
Yes.
so he had taken
Oh.
the camera only twice. So that was his third time that he had taken the camera.
Do we need to go back to our model of, if you check out the equipment, you give us an outline of what it is you're
And
preparing?
We've been talking about that, and Mario is the front line of that request.
That worked pretty well because that was how we were able to tease out the wedding
We
the wedding
The wedding
videographers
videos.
and
we usually have when they become members, we have projects. So every member has a different project, so we're aware of whatever they're working on. Some of them work on long documentaries that they won't return their footage until it's done, and that could take up to a month or 2 months. But they do bring something. With him, since he was just a member, I knew what he was working on, but I didn't expect that to happen, so he never returned any.
what was he working on?
He was working on a Hispanic TV show,
Uh-huh.
recording like events, public events.
Is there any requirement when somebody takes a piece of equipment out, checks it out, for them to show proof of some kind of insurance that would cover a theft like that?
No, we don't ask for proof of insurance. They do
Like
sign
automobile or-
a sheet that says they are responsible for replacing the equipment if it's broken or lost. But you know, when you get to that point, the enforcement becomes an issue. How do we enforce it?
Well, oh, wait a minute, he signed something saying he's responsible for it.
So we could go to small claims court, and I think his police report would fall apart. The 5-minute window of this happening is kind of suspicious. But he lives in San Jose now.
Well, did
He
you file
doesn't-
the report after you already knew it was gone, or? I mean, what-
He filed it, we told him to file it immediately.
Okay,
We talked to him, and then when he told us it was missing, then there became an issue of getting the stuff that wasn't missing back, because he was so far away, he doesn't have a car, he's dependent on his wife. You know, you get into personal stories, and I've spent hours with this fellow trying to
the
understand.
current market value for that camera used is,
Oh, it's 1,500 maybe. No, used to be 1,000 or less, but
but this was pretty.
That's
this
still a
was-
lot of money.
Well, no, I'm thinking, I mean, is he willing to pay anything? Is he offering?
he says he is, and I said,
Oh.
okay, you know, send us a check, $10, just.
No, no,
prove,
1,000.
no, just prove, no, I said, send it, I was willing to knock the price down, because he, you know, he probably doesn't have the money, and he's
Right.
struggling. So you make a deal on good faith and goodwill.
Yeah,
If he's making an effort in good faith, I would
Sure,
honor that.
make payments.
But every time we make an appointment for him to see him, he'd contact me and say, I can't make it because he's sick, or they can't get the car to start, and it just became a runaround that
maybe we send a letter suggesting that something needs to happen on that order, or there's a.
I've sent him an email this week saying, look, you know, I've extended as much open generosity as I can to work this out with you. It isn't happening. Empty promises are insulting. If I don't have a check or the camera back by the end of the year, we're gonna take it to small claims court. We've already warned San Jose Access and San Rafael Access to be careful with him. So we have done that. I just kept the door open as long as I could for some sort of, I should say, learning moment out of it, because he's a young guy, I think he's sincere, but he might be mixing with the wrong crowd, he might be under the thumb of somebody else who had this bright idea and talked him into it. I just wanted to give him every chance he could to come
Right.
clean and grow from it, but it didn't play out. I'm not an enforcer either, so. And if we were to go to our insurance, would that raise our,
What's the deductible?
Yeah, I was gonna say our
That's the point,
deductible
yeah.
probably.
So the
is high.
deductible will be big, and the claim will probably hit us on the rates later.
yeah. So I'm
And
wondering
if the thing's only, yes, what's the replacement cost for something like that?
He was just
See, the
saying-
street value was a
Well, we would
thousand or
never
less.
replace it. It was one of the older cameras that still used tape,
No, we've replaced it with a modern equivalent.
which would be more expensive, so.
Yeah.
Is this guy doing business with San Jose and Novato Access Centers?
No, he was working with Santa Rosa Access. He was also working with Azteca TV. I think he has an outstanding debt there as well. And he's known to be friends with somebody who we've had warnings about is just kind of a con artist, so.
Mm.
I've had lots of talks with our cameraman tonight, because he's, you know, he has to kind of gauge people's character when they
Yeah.
come in and spot the,
How often does something like this come up?
we had one camera we thought was stolen or lost 2 years ago. Turned out the guy put it in his closet, and when he found it, he brought it in. But we went through the same process and came to the conclusion that it was part of the operating expenses, part of the overhead. It's something that happened in a business like that, so I wasn't instructed to go and file anything.
Is there a precedent for requiring any kind of a deposit or credit card on file or something with this kind of operation? I mean, obviously, if you go rent something, you know, typically you've got
Credit card, yeah.
to give them a credit card.
That's an interesting idea. We could explore that.
I think there should be some kind of collateral. I think we've been really lucky.
Yeah.
It's only happened a couple times, and that means that by and large, we're probably getting the right people in the organization that that are sincere and aren't playing around. But at the same time, we do have to protect the assets. So maybe we should look at something like that.
I like that. I'll look into that. It, you know, it
Or
might.
driver's license? Do you get a driver's license?
No.
That's not legal anymore.
That won't help
Oh,
either.
you can't ask for that?
You can't ask for, or can't hold or anything else to the driver, you can
Well,
get a
you can
copy
get
of
the
it.
number.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, there should be some.
But you
maybe-
can't file with a DMV, which is the only thing that driving license would be good for.
I just know when I go somewhere and I have to rent something, I give them a copy of my driver's license and a credit card, I feel a little bit more obliged to, I mean, not that I would cheat otherwise.
The other thing
I don't think you're.
And when they don't ask you for that, then what do you do?
You rip them off if they don't?
No, but that's why there's laws. People need them.
Well, but giving
Who are these
somebody a
people
credit
that-
card and
I
an
think it's stock
ID,
photo. This gets
identification,
them.
because what's to stop somebody from coming in and saying they're one person and they're not, or, you know, using a stolen credit card or whatever, so, I mean, we should maybe have some kind of a procedure for covering that.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's up to you guys can fix it.
Okay. Just wanted to bring it to your attention.
Yeah,
It
Thanks.
happened. And that's it, it's a very short director's report.
I almost wanted to add is that it'd be worthwhile looking into giving an optional insurance that the members check out for a low-cost insurance, stuff like that, that we could prearrange for the
Oh,
members.
that's a very good,
And if they feel that the camera might get damaged or that it's stolen or whatever else, it's like buying a rider you would when you rent a moving truck.
exactly.
Yeah, collision damage.
Yeah,
waiver.
yeah, exactly, when you rent a car. That's a great idea.
And we could either collect money to build an impound account for replacing that ourselves,
Mhm.
or find a company that'll offer that service for us.
Good idea.
I'm
I like it.
invited you.
I like that.
Right?
is this a new Francisco?
Yeah, the new Francisco.
Oh, okay.
He's the access assistant.
I just don't recognize these people.
The other thing is, this is a question that I have, when you're talking about going to small claims and you've already indicated to him that if he doesn't do something by the end of the month, that you anticipate possibly doing that. You don't really want to be making idle threats with something like that. So if we're going to in fact do that,
Should do it,
we should do it.
yeah.
And not make idle threats to do it, because it probably means nothing. And what is the cost to go to small claims court, do you
I
know?
don't know, never done it.
I think it's just time, isn't it? Or you have to pay?
You have to
Probably-
pay.
It's probably a
There's
filing
a
fee.
something.
fee, yeah,
Yeah.
there's a fee, and it is time
Yeah, I
consuming.
was doing it as a threat. I thought it
Right.
would light a fire under him to get
Right.
a little more serious response.
But the second problem is even if we get a claim and you get a judgment, you
You'll
may not be able
always
to
get the
collect
money.
the
You
judgment.
may not have any money.
Exactly.
And you can include the filing fees in the
Claim.
claim
Mm-hmm.
and get that back.
I mean, you could also try picking a number and seeing if he can just, you know,
That's what I wanted to do, and I gave him every opportunity to come in and negotiate that number. And I would have been very generous if I really felt that there was a sincerity there.
all right.
And the lack of sincerity is what makes me more suspicious. So it's kind of a circle that I just want to stop and end and move on.
I think,
Put your enforcer hat on.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, not to mention the time and effort
yeah. There's
it
a lot.
takes
There will be a lot of
to-
time. I don't
We
think.
just
I
burned
don't think
10
it's worth it
minutes.
for the camera.
The door's free, so.
But I think reinforcing our security procedures
As
at
Ted
the
Lombardi
front
calls
desk
it, vol, a free
is the
gig.
lesson, is the way
Yeah.
to move forward from this.
And then getting the outline for the content to be aired.
Yeah. And it's very good that Mario is filming this because he's the enforcer.
You be the enforcer.
Ooh.
Do it.
And just for the
Get
benefit
the
of the
money.
audience, he's scary.
Okay.
Okay, thank you, John.
Non-consent.
Nothing on the consent calendar. Any reports of committees? Okay. Then we'll go straight to old business. The first item under old business, discussion of possible action on plans for the 2013 board retreat, which I think now has become the 2014 board retreat. Is that true?
Yes.
All right, I thought so.
Oh, yeah,
I want
okay.
to make sure I wasn't dreaming.
Well, you know, it's the fiscal year 13, 14.
Right.
It's the retreat for the year, but it's going to happen in 2014.
Yes. Okay, I don't really have anything to report. I think my name is on there for the sake of trying to firm up our plans. John, have you talked to,
We actually set a date already? I
Yeah.
remember we talked about it. Is it
The date has
February?
been set. We were going to have the potluck on
At Fishman's House,
Fishman's house on
On the 18th.
February
February 18th.
18th. And then on the 22nd, the following Saturday, we were gonna have a half-day retreat session with an invited
The
guest speaker.
motivational speaker.
Yes. And those are the plans as we stood, and the theme was gonna be fundraising, and probably a fundraising plan, very concrete plan, which we could start developing January 2nd and take through the January board meeting. And I'm working in a subcommittee that's Kathy and Marcia, and we do have something to report. We had 2 candidates for the consultant, and I've spoken to both, and we met. So just at 6:15, we've been meeting here, so we talked over the various options.
wait, February 18th, and what was the other date?
The
22nd.
22nd, Saturday.
27th.
22nd.
Saturday,
Why
the
didn't I put
22nd of
this on my
February.
calendar? Okay.
And we were thinking a half day, say, come at, we were gonna have it at the station, come at 10, and leave at 2, with a 3-hour guest speaker to work on. Well, the way it kind of shaped up is we'd start working on the radio project to get a budget, how much money do we need, what are we looking at, do we have staffing issues, and shaping a fundraising campaign around that. The fundraising campaign, you know, you need your goal, you need a calendar of deliverables where you want to be at each stage, you need point people assigned to different parts of the job, who's going to do what, then you frame your messaging and you go after it. And I think if we start first week of January, we should have that all done by the 22nd, and it could go through stages. The thing is, our 2 consultants, both of them are going to come in at about $1,000 for this, and which implies a certain commitment to raising the money that they're going to teach us how to raise. So there has to be follow through. It's not just an exercise. You have to spend money to make money. I had $1,000 budgeted for board development, so that's going to fit. But it could turn into more. You know, do we want to have them come back in August, say, and look at what we've done? How serious do we want to attack this campaign for 2014?
What?
You can wait.
Well, I'm just trying to think of whether that is the best use of $1,000 as opposed to putting it directly into a fundraising event. It's
Well,
just,
no.
you're starting in the hole, if you're, in a way, and while I'm sure we could all learn about how to more effectively fundraise, I just wonder if not having, I don't know, paying $1,000 to a motivational speaker.
I think we need the motivation.
Well, I
Yeah, but
think
do
we need,
But, I mean, now I have motivation more to avoid having to spend $1,000 to raise $1,000.
well, I think we need help designing a campaign. We need help deciding how and what we're going to do and how and where and when we're going to proceed, and I think we do need help doing that. And a professional person could probably help us with that.
So why are we looking at motivational speakers then?
Well, that was just my term for.
Oh, okay.
Just
It's a how-to?
to rouse you, to inspire you, but there
No,
is a how.
we were inspired, we were curious.
And
We need a facilitator to help us outline what
Yeah.
it is we're going to do and make sure that we stay within our abilities and not bite off more than we can handle, I think.
Well, but I also think that we have some, you know, we have some stokes in the fire right now with the radio station, other things that are really intended to be
Ways to
fundraisers.
generate funds. Yeah.
And we need to, pending that happens, there's a business plan and other things that need to be developed to support that.
Yeah.
And will require some outlay of resources. We know this is happening, we've sort of committed to that initiative. You know, spending time on other initiatives really is going to be, are we going to spend effort or time on grant writing or, you know, the only other business we could get into realistically is grant writing, underwriting, or doing productions.
Mhm.
And productions for profit.
Right.
Otherwise, it's really not something I don't know that we're geared to do.
Well, what about expanding or developing a donorship program? What about expanding membership and grant writing and some of the other things that, you know, that we don't do enough of?
I have no problem with that. I think we need to figure out what we're attaching to those community members of value to feel like they're underwriting. And at this point, I don't know that we've done a good job. It's hard. It's a continuous job of telling our story of what value we're providing to them.
Well, the radio station is, though, an attractive target for underwriters. And
Well, the radio station, you can flat out sell ads. You know,
Right.
you can call it the way that it's not. We're not limited as the same way that we are for underwriting on the TV side, but.
Yeah, and I did some questioning at the ACM about that, and yes, the DIVCA does allow advertising if the profits are put back into the
Support the operation, yeah.
And
But they said, on the other hand, it could impact your nonprofit status. So DIVCA is different than our,
Yeah, it impacts your nonprofit status, it's if you turn into a profit,
yeah.
but if, you know, we're kind of like aiming at breaking even.
right.
The worst thing
That's a lofty goal.
The worst thing that's happened is we'll buy a couple new cameras, you know.
And then we're not breaking even,
Yeah.
and if we
or
decide
we're
to,
not profiting.
if we decide to sell advertising for the radio station, when are we gonna do that? I mean, it's gotta be up and running at a certain point. Are we gonna sell ads for 18 months and wait to fund it for that long?
Well, ideally, we'd have ads booked before we even put the radio station in place.
Well,
So,
Just before.
I'm worried about the staffing of it, because we're lucky now we have enough space in the office to home it there, but how much staffing is it gonna be required, especially if there's somebody who's taking ads and following clients and that whole relationship. I think the radio station is a good, high-profile objective to hang a fundraising on, but the fundraising needs to be larger, you know, grants and underwriting. But the real objective is to activate you people, the board, as fundraisers. And I could tell you the same thing they're gonna tell you, but somehow if you pay them to tell you, you hear it more. That's the theory, and I think it's a value that we can afford. I think it would be good to have an outside person come in and look at our operation, and they can find the cracks if they're, both of them are professional. One of them has done work with Mentor Me, and you know, the money spent is worth it, I think. And we're not talking about spending $1,000 to make $1,000. No, we're spending $1,000 to make $50,000. We need to put it into plan. We did try an event a couple of years ago, but you know, you end up making about $50 when you take out the staff time that went into it and all the preparation and the work. You need people who are going to be writing big checks to really.
Which event was that?
Was that the Phoenix? I think it was in 2004 when I was working as a consultant with Janine. We did a fundraiser at the Phoenix. And a lot of work and very little profit when you factor the scale of staff time that went into it.
I still
It's
like,
fun, you know, it's
It's
great.
better than losing
still
money.
like the idea of a Lagunitas event. I mean, it's a formula that seems to work. It's very low cost, pretty easy. And, I mean, I've done them a couple times and it was good.
Okay, well, that becomes a plank in a strategy to do the fundraising and,
It's not, if we spend $1,000 and formulate a kind of a plan, an overall plan.
No, I understand that.
That we
I
can work
just-
with.
I totally understand. I just don't know that, I think what we need is to schedule a meeting focused on fundraising and get together and actually focus on doing it. And I'd like to do that ahead of spending $1,000. That would be my vote, because I kind of feel like we're talking ourselves into doing it so that we can kick ourselves to do what we already know what we should be doing, which is pick a date, find a location, and raise some funding. I mean, there's intricacies to it, but
But
it's
you-
not that
I
complicated.
think there's a lot of different ways to raise money. It's not
Right, we
just
can't
Well, that's
just
one
have just
event.
not one event.
No, I
That's
think we
not
should.
gonna cut
I
it.
think we should make products. I mean, we could have training products that we're already doing, and we could be selling these things. There's product we could actually generate from PCA in the way of educating people how to use Final Cut, for example. I mean, there's lots of things along those lines that we could talk about, as well as what Matt just referenced in terms of renting out studio space commercially. I don't know, I'm totally supportive of whatever the board wants to do. I won't be a dissenter in having this motivational speaker. I'm just suggesting that even ahead of that, we could be motivating ourselves. And one big motivation I see is the revenues, which, even though there was just an error, it's still, I don't like to see the drop.
Jason, how do you go about doing something like this Lagunitas?
First of all, you have to, this is one thing, everybody wants to do them, and you only have a couple days. In fact, is it even,
Tuesdays.
it's only Tuesdays. And they're so popular, everybody's booking them far
Right.
out. So that would actually be the first thing, is try to see when we could get on the calendar.
But then how do you promote that?
Promote it, I mean, we would, given PCA, we, I'm sure, have no problem getting coverage in the press. You promote it through Facebook. You get, a band that's willing to come in, and they
For free?
Put it on TV.
very often you can get
Okay,
them
I'm
for free.
just-
Yeah.
And how much
Have
money-
you attended several events there to
They
do
do
that?
them, but yeah, I mean, this is the one downside, we talked about this too, is some people get Lagunitas fatigue and fundraiser fatigue because there's so many of them there.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, if it's something that people care about and you have a good draw, I think we could do pretty well with BCA, given, it's apolitical. So it's a community event. I mean, I've gone to various ones from events that were just for particular politicians that were running to more community-based fundraisers, and those tend to actually be bigger. The apolitical
What kind of
ones.
money do they make?
I mean, I've seen, in my case, I think it was about 5 or 6K that I did in one night, but that was minimal. And, like I said, that was not apolitical. So I don't know, I'd have to talk to other companies. I know Friends of Schollenberger did pretty well actually with their events. I can't remember the figure, but it was above the tens. So, yeah.
Is that not something that could be part of having someone come in and have that be one of the
Absolutely. I
events
mean,
that we are gonna plan to do?
absolutely. And I'm not saying that, having an expert come in, and I'm not saying that that's not going to be useful. And that we couldn't gain something for it. I'm only saying that there's also some really basic low-hanging fruit that we just haven't done. And the primary reason, I think, is that, for one, everybody has things that they're doing in their lives that make it hard to come together and meet outside of these meetings. We talked about doing it this year, or several months ago, and I'm not sure what happened. It escaped us. No one took the ball and went with it. And I'm not, I mean, I'll point fingers at myself, all of us. I mean, I'm on the Outreach Development Committee. We haven't had a meeting. We need to have a meeting to talk about how we can reach out to the community and develop PCA. And when it comes to fundraising, that's a chief thing. We were all asked months ago to contact businesses for sponsorships. I haven't done it.
Marcia did.
Good for you. Thanks.
They haven't responded.
Didn't raise any funds.
I mean, I have 3 companies on my list. I haven't gone and talked to them yet. So, I think part of it is really having board members and point people that actually have the time to make this stuff happen. And I'm sorry that I haven't been able to have as much time to do that. But I would be happy to call first thing tomorrow, Lagunitas, and find out how soon we can get on the calendar. And I'll commit to that right now.
I'm against a fundraiser of that nature, because I know the work involved. And if you kept the work away from the staff, I'd say go for it. But if it's going to fall to us to make it happen, and I don't think we're going to get the kind of money that you're thinking. So I can tell you that. You can say,
Yeah.
well, he doesn't want to work, he's lazy. You pay you got a professional consultant comes in and says, for an operation your scale, fundraisers are not productive. Your cost, your investment in it cuts your profit really down. And where does PCA we've been here long enough, people kind of get used to us being here. Are they going to want to get the next step to take this higher?
Well, if we had, and we talked about this, if we have a specified goal that, we're doing this so that we can have this radio station or whatever it is we define, that becomes your message target and your goal that, is motivating people to invest.
Yeah, and I think if we get the license, we have 18 months to make it work.
Mm-hmm.
So that becomes our window. We go, for 18 months, we push that message, is we need your support to make this radio happen for you.
Right.
And it becomes the messaging, and then the tactics in that strategy become open for discussion. Is it going to be a fundraiser? Is it going to be small donations from a lot of different people, annual, I
Probably
think,
a combination.
yeah. So that kind of strategy needs to be worked out, and I think professional guidance is not a waste of money. But
No, I'm just also I'm trying to balance, frugality as well, and just trying to see, well, what could we also be doing just with our own resources that are underutilized.
And I agree with Jason. I think we need to find an initiative or two that we're galvanizing behind. Because at this point, yes, we'd like to have more funds, but we need to
Create
engage
a
people on what the funds are going
We
towards.
have talked about different fundraising ideas here on the sport, then that's where, that doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
We need somebody to help us execute it. We've all come up with ideas.
Well, I think the radio station is a galvanizing thing. And I think the professional would help us work out, help us to see what we need to work out, like a budget and a goal for how much we want to raise, and a strategy that will work not just this year, but in years to come, when we need to raise funds again, which we will.
Right.
So, and it probably will be a combination of things, but
We need to find something exactly like that, like Mentor Me has their Mad Hatter's Ball. The animal shelter has Bark in the Park.
Annual event.
Yeah, it's like we need to come up with our,
We
our
started to
signature
do that
event.
with the award thing and the members meeting, but they weren't really fundraising in focus.
And I think, I keep playing back this remark that Tim made about us coming out even. I think even if we did come out even, we we need to market ourselves.
Mhm.
We can do that through fundraising.
Yep,
Even if we come out even,
right.
we're out there.
Yeah, that's true.
Our name needs to circulate in this town.
Yep. If,
Yep.
And-
if we wanted to put a dollar amount on it, there is a fixed and decline, or a dollar amount that we started with that was fixed and declining now. That's that equipment replacement fund that we use to build the studio out. We're not gonna be able to do that forever. We're gonna have to start replacing equipment one day. And we're not gonna be able to do that with operating money. So I think that would, that might be a thing to start at. I'm kind of thinking, I'm hearing a lot of different ideas, plans, and I think there needs to be a referee. I think I go along with John.
God, let's have a block party. Close the street in front of the station.
Yeah, good luck with
I
that.
like this, I like, the annual idea of it.
And nothing says we have to have one gala event like the Mad Hatter's Ball. I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 smaller ones or something appropriately scaled. But it's sounding to me like it needs, a rallying cry by somebody who's an expert rallier. I think we have a lot of good ideas, and these are all very different ideas.
Yeah, our members meeting is probably the annual, I'd hate to do the members meeting and an annual fundraiser. Our last one was very much an open house. It was great. I would love to take advantage of the opportunity to put a little insert in the water bill, which wouldn't be a request for money. It would be, have you heard about PCA? Go online, take a little 5-question questionnaire and tell us what you'd like to see us do, which is outreach marketing, and creates a database of email lists that we can respond to. But that's like, the bills go out quarterly. What is the time frame to getting in the insert? We need to plan ahead so that would, say that went out 2 months before our event. It would get PCA into the minds of a lot of people.
Water bill's monthly now, isn't it?
Hopefully.
The water bill is monthly.
Is it monthly?
Yeah.
Obviously, John doesn't pay his bill.
I was gonna say, yeah, Muriel pays the bill in your
Muriel
house.
What was your address again there, John? Oh, it's right here.
I mean, in my case, I get it electronically and they just said, you paid your bill. Billed it to you, and I don't even see the attachments anymore, so it's not effective.
Oh, okay. Well, we talked about that once with the questionnaire.
Right.
I always thought that was a good idea. But
I have to opt in and go log on to the website to find the junk mail they're gonna send me with my water bill.
you masochist.
Well, I'm leaning towards yes for the facilitator. What about you, Marcia?
Yeah, I'm definitely in
I'm just
favor.
taking a straw poll here before we.
I'm leaving there too.
I think it will be
I think it is,
worthwhile.
I think it is a considerable amount of money. But I also think, of course, I have not been on the board, but only my second meeting. But listening to what those of you that have been on the board for a while, that it's been discussed many times in the past, but everybody either doesn't have the time or chooses not to have the time, whichever it may be. And so therefore, we stagnate at the same level. If we can at least have somebody that possibly will motivate 2/3 of the board, then at least that can happen to possibly make something happen. I think that without some kind of fundraising, this radio station is not gonna happen.
Yeah, and I want us to get away from the word motivate. This person's not a motivational
Yeah,
speaker.
let's lose that.
This person is a facilitator, that,
A fundraising expert.
more like a wedding planner, an organizer for us.
A
We
wedding planner.
talked about the wedding for a long time and we have not put it together, so,
Right.
Yeah, the follow through
yeah.
needs to be assured, and assigning, chores to certain people to have done by a certain time, and that's.
If I Have you talked with both of the,
Yes.
have you decided which one would be more appropriate for us?
I think the initial suspicion that Diane would be able to get on the ground faster because
Okay.
she knows PCA. Thomas and I were with her for a whole semester.
Okay.
We use PCA as our projects. And she was able to get closer to a concrete work plan.
Yeah, she
But
also
Carol
does
was-
follow-up, I saw on her website,
Yeah.
she'll follow up with us
Yeah.
if we need to do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's a little cheaper by the hour, but she asks for more hours. But it's all negotiable. I think if we say we have a budget of $1,000, we want to
I'm sort of,
I
get a
think we can
really
get our money
solid,
worth.
long-term funding plan on the table.
Consulted out.
And,
Okay, well, I'm gonna make the motion to hire our
maybe I need to bring a consultant.
Diane,
Diane
to
Brown.
hire Diane to facilitate for us on the February 22nd retreat.
I'll second it.
Okay. So there's a motion and a second. Do we have any more discussion that needs to take place? Okay, all those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
There was
Oh,
a
Matt-
discussion, I
Matt had
think.
a discussion.
Matt was
Oh,
Matt was
assembling-
slow to react.
he's assembling his thoughts.
okay, Matt.
You know, I think prior to having that discussion, I think, you know, as a board, we need to have a discussion of saying what, you know,
What we want to get out of
what do
it.
we want to get out of it and what we're going to do with the organization. Because those are the two big, I don't want to spend 4 hours of our conversation for them to extract those two concepts. What our branding is, what our product is, and that's having gone through several of these with the college lately, you know, if we need to identify who we are, what we want to be to the community, and what the products are that we want to serve to the community, and that business plan, before we even bring in a person to try and fund the business plan.
So could that not happen at the at the
18th.
18th
The dinner?
meeting? Or is
If we
that
stay
not
focused to it, we
formal?
could, but I mean, that to
And
me
too
is,
fast.
We do our best thinking when we're drinking.
Well,
But
first of all,
no,
can we
no.
all make it to that?
That, for me, that was
That
part
was
of the
the
plan.
point.
That's why we're talking
Yeah,
about it
yeah,
so
yeah, yeah.
early, is that we have a plan that we start working on that they help us shape. So we
Right.
bring ideas. Now, we talked about board members interviewing staff members. I think that's great because it connects you to the staff gets to know you. But, you know, we have 4 staff members. We have 8 board members. So two of you would each pick one person that you'd go talk to about what they see for the future, and how they, you know. So that interview process could turn up information. If you submitted information to me and Kathy and Marcia, we could take it to our consultant a month before the actual meeting, so that they're able to see where we're headed, and we could work it out. We could develop it more in the next board meeting. We could do committee meetings, the outreach development. If we start to focus now, so that we have something, a rough plan by the 22nd, that this person has already been involved in. So I would say the 22nd is the launch party where things get
I just have a couple ideas I think we just need to talk about for, you know, some of it's staffing, some of it's just sort of business plan. And I had some another idea I sort of wanted to bounce off what a couple people here about, you know, maybe another business type opportunity we could do to fund all the other operations.
Mhm.
And I don't know which order we should tackle that in.
Well, I mean, that could also happen at that meeting.
Yeah.
We could germinate on things ahead of
I think
it.
Matt's point was we need to start working on that before that meeting, so that meeting is closure on it or certification of the best part of it.
Oh, the 18th?
Well, we still have a January board meeting.
Yeah, I think we have a time frame where if we start January 2nd, subcommittee.
I think we need to have a work discussion, you know, a collaborative discussion. The business board meeting maybe next in January, but probably a collaborative discussion, brainstorming part that isn't part of the formal business meeting.
So before the
Adjourn to a
18th.
workshop or something?
Yes, a workshop portion of the next meeting.
I
That's
think
a
that makes
possibility.
sense.
But I also think committees could be useful too.
Yeah, I just don't know if it's relevant, something to air on TV and have that discussion, just when we're bouncing.
Oh, I think
We-
it's a
Yeah.
subcommittee.
No, we haven't been very successful in the subcommittee department. I'm just gonna point that out.
The Department of Subcommittees?
The Department of Subcommittees, I think they
What-
got cut
what-
from the
what-
budget.
What committee reports on the Department of Subcommittee?
That's
Yeah.
what I'm
So
saying.
that's
that what
outreach
you're
and
saying
development.
is to have the business meeting in January and then finish that and then have a workshop within the board
Yeah, make-
after the meeting?
I think that the board needs to come together and gel, that we're all working towards the same series of causes. And then once we feel like we're galvanized towards a unified vision, then we have the follow-through meeting with the fundraising consultant to help us find a way to finance that vision. And right now, I don't know, besides saying, yes, we want to have a radio station, but we don't have a business plan, or that we want to raise more money to operate the community outreach and community development of PCAs, people develop more programming. What are we willing to do? What steps are we willing to take to get that far? How are we willing to change or grow or the operation to make these things successful? And I don't know we've
Well,
are set
I
on
think the
a
danger of
concept.
setting the target so high and noble, it can be counterproductive because you're not going to get there, you get worn out. I think we have the radio station, which needs a business plan. We should focus on that, all guns, and if we're successful, we will learn things that we can apply and continue in a larger sense. So you start with small goals, success builds power, they take you to higher goals, you work your way up. And I think the radio station is on a platter. We need to get a business plan for that. How much is it going to cost? What's it going to look like? Do we need an extra staff member dedicated to it?
Well,
Those decisions are the business plan that I think you're talking about. I just
Okay.
want to keep the business plan to the radio station.
Well, actually, I want to go back and say what we need is a strategic plan. A
right.
strategic plan for the organization of what are the pressing goals that have to be dealt with and what are the ongoing expenses and issues that are going to be having to be dealt with in the next few years. With the existing operation are new initiatives, and then all that's going to guide the fundraising and cost to get to the next step.
Okay, let's take our strategic plan from last year, which we really, I don't believe, did very much with,
Yeah.
and use that as a template and in the January meeting, we'll have our workshop. We'll take that strategic plan, we'll tweak it, we'll give it to the facilitator to look at. The facilitator can design the retreat for us. How does that sound?
I think so.
Thank you.
Okay. No, you know how I feel about strategic plan. I mean, we put that thing together, we put a lot of work into it, and we never reviewed it once last year, so let's take a look at it. And then
So how
make
does
a
this?
commitment
how does
to
this
review it
work-
at least once
How
a
does
quarter
this
too.
workshop look? Is it a regular meeting with the camera, or is it a extracurricular?
Off the camera.
Off the camera review of the strategic plan and revision discussion about it.
Yeah,
Whether
just a
whether
workshop.
those strategic plans are still relevant.
Okay, give me
Yeah.
a date and a place, and I'll be there.
No, we're gonna do it after we're gonna have our January board meeting, adjourn the meeting, and then just do the
Okay.
workshop. January's meeting should be pretty quick.
So we're going back to the strategic plan and not a fundraising campaign built on the radio. Is that what I hear?
Well, the strategic plan should incorporate that. And maybe it's one of the higher priorities.
Right, we have a strategic plan that we did at our last retreat that we haven't even reviewed.
No, that's what worries me.
Right,
That's what
well,
we're,
that's
follow through.
that's what we're talking about doing is,
But then you're talking about presenting that strategic plan to the facilitator or event coordinator or whatever we're titling her as being.
Yeah,
Diane.
having
facilitator, I
her-
like that.
Having her put it together to see, okay, this is where we want to go. Now, how would you suggest that we get there?
well, I think
am
Matt's
understanding correct?
concern was how was the facilitator gonna
Yeah,
design
exactly.
a program for us without,
A plan.
yeah, exactly. So if we
Yeah.
take our strategic plan, which we've already got, and tweak it, and then let the facilitator look at it,
And then do
she
our-
has an idea of what it is that she needs to work
Mhm.
on with us. And then we need to make a commitment to
If we,
review that strategic plan once a quarter too. That should be like an agenda item,
So somebody needs
quarter.
to send that out now, so that we can start
Yes.
chewing on it.
yes.
if we give her a whole strategic plan, however, is that gonna enlarge the amount of assistance that we need from her? And is it gonna enlarge, because what we've been talking about is something geared specifically toward the radio station. Is it gonna enlarge her?
I think we're focusing too much on this radio station. The radio station is
One
not.
aspect, yeah.
Yeah, it's only
But it's
one
the
facet
looming,
of
yes.
a multifaceted.
Well, true.
Well, we're
yeah.
jogging back and forth. We're talking about if we were going to do a fundraiser, a good galvanizing thing could be the radio station. Then how does that fit into the overall objectives of the strategy for PCA? So I think there are two things, and what I was hearing is Matt's just feeling like we need an overall strategy that we should be looking at in the
Right.
context of the one.
And the strategic plan needs to be a living document. It's going to grow and change and be modified over time as we accomplish goals and come up with new ones or identify new needs. But right now, we both need to develop the business plan to support the radio station as a new aspect of the organization. But we also need to say, what are all the other goals for the existing operations too? And we have to make sure that if we, not only do we build the radio station, but we can't let the TV station sort of wither and die.
Which if somebody was watching this meeting, they would think that we're talking about a radio station and not a TV station. We spent almost that much, I don't think we even used the word TV in the last half hour.
Well, for me, there's something abstract about what you're talking about, and I think the follow-through is going to be harder. I'm looking at something like, I would like to count on $10,000 a year coming from the board. Whether each of you puts in 1,000 or you do a fundraiser to get that 10,000, that kind of, if the board could be a fundraising element of the operation, and it hasn't been. And I think that's the next step, to get to that level. So are you, if you want to go into the strategic plan, I'm just worried about follow-through, because we did one last year, there was no follow-through.
Well, like Cindy said, we need to be making follow-through a part of that
Yes.
agenda.
Is the last chapter in that strategic plan talk about the updating of the plan?
I don't know, I don't remember it that well.
I don't either.
And there needs
Yeah.
to be some hook with it, but I agree
Well-
that digging that thing up, dusting it off, or revising it, I think that's a great place to start with a consultant, for whatever reason we bring a consultant in. And I think fundraising is a great thing to have, like we've discussed for the retreat. And I think if I were a consultant, I would want to know something about the organization, and that
Makes
is
sense.
one really solid, good place to start learning about it. They go visit the website, they look up the strategic plan, say,
Yeah.
oh, that's who those guys are.
That's true. Well, it'd be more effective too, because as she's coaching on different fundraising aspects,
Yeah.
she can reference the points in the strategic.
Yeah, we
plan.
could, with Diane, I've already started talking about 3 different meetings. A 1 hour at the beginning to learn about what PCA is, another 2 hour to help us build it, start working on the plan. You need this, this, and this, go off and do your homework. Then the final one is, okay, this is the plan, this is how you go about accomplishing it.
Okay. Is the strategic plan available on the website now?
No,
Huh. Could it be?
I'd have to see it. I don't remember it even being written up.
I think I'd like for us to
Very
look at it
useful
in
document.
January and tweak it, and then we can put it on the website, if that's what we want to do.
Is it written up?
It's written up, remember, I used to hammer about us doing a strategic plan, and we did do it. We did,
Oh, whether we're aware of it.
boy. Where would that be?
Was it sent as a PDF?
Is this it? Or this might have been one of my homework assignments. I might have made that up all by myself.
No, it's in a grid.
Then I got this, but this was something I did for Diane's
was-
class. Does that look like it?
We had a grid that looked like that. That's what our strategic plan looked like, and I don't remember. Do you remember it, Jason?
I remember it looked like that.
Yeah, it was-
I'm sure I have it in
I mean,
my.
I think those
Yeah,
were
it was in a
homework, those were
grid.
homework assignments I did just to.
Okay. We're both gonna have to go back and look for it, I think.
I don't have any memory of it being in a document, so I don't know where I'd start looking. But
It was, because I remember us sitting in, out at Marcel's community room and putting it together. Remember that?
Well, there's an activities plan that John did in May of 2012.
I do those every year, those are annual.
Yeah.
Don't forget there's a motion on the floor.
Yeah, there is a motion on the floor, I haven't forgotten. Okay, let's take this part offline as far as finding where that plan is.
Yes.
I know it's there, and we will bring some kind of an outline to the January meeting for our workshop. So the motion on the floor is to spend $1,000 or,
Facilitator.
yeah, but are we gonna, I'm gonna withdraw my motion. I'm withdrawing my motion. I'm gonna move that we,
Do I not have to withdraw my second?
Do I have to note that? You made the.
well, I don't know, I don't wanna.
Motion
I don't-
retracted.
Yeah, I don't want to,
Would be faster.
what if she's more than $1,000? I mean,
Well, we should set a budget.
yeah,
That's what she's looking for a budget. What is your budget? She said I need 5 to 9 hours and I'm $125 an hour. But that, you call her up, it doesn't count. There's a lot of ways. If she gets invested in working us through this, if we have an envelope of $1,000, I think we'll get more than that out of her. And the other one was a little more expensive by the hour, but I requested less hours, but that it's more general.
I know, I'm trying to figure out whether we should just agree, at this point, just to agree to hire her and to wait until the January meeting to find out how many hours she's suggesting that we're gonna need for, well, our retreat is, okay, we want her for 3 hours? All right.
I think it would be useful to have 1 hour with her before the January meeting so that she can help us, so that we're all kind of working at the same speed. Then we have our meeting, which then would become a workshop that would finalize the plan. We have another session with her. She actually requested a 1 hour with me, a 2 hour with the subcommittee, and a 3 hour with the full board. She wanted to work into it that way and help us shape what we're doing all along the path, not to us to come with a plan and then she tears it apart.
Okay, and who's the subcommittee? You,
Right
me, and
now,
Marcia?
Yeah, well, I've left you out, you've been
Right,
busy, so
right.
it's been Marcia and Kathy right now. I've been
Marcia and
working-
Kathy, okay.
They've been working with me on the 2 candidates.
Okay, and are you, Kathy and Marcia, are you okay with continuing in that role?
Mhm.
Okay, all right, so, okay, $1,000 should cover it.
Should cover it. I'll
Okay.
tell her that's what we've got.
Then I'll leave my motion.
You can't,
Okay.
you withdrew it.
Okay, all right, I'll make the
Mr. Lebo.
motion that we hire Diane and proceed with our plan as John has described for the pre-meetings and the retreat
She
meeting.
removed it, that's even better than
Um,
withdrawing it.
And is there a second?
I second.
All right. All right, I think we're done discussing, correct?
So you removed your
All those-
motion?
No, I just made another
She
motion.
just
So I mean,
made
you
one.
removed it. You moved it and then withdrew it and then
She
removed
oh, God,
it to put it back.
tricky English language.
I did, I just said, I made the motion So we spend $1,000.
Okay, I know. you
No,
said-
he's playing with the English language. He's saying,
Not
we
me.
removed it.
I'm
Yeah,
gonna remove you. Okay, all those in
I'll
favor?
give you John's phone
Aye.
number.
Yeah.
I,
Anyone opposed? All right.
who seconded it? I'm sorry.
Kathy.
Kathy,
Okay,
Okay, I think we're done with that item.
unanimous.
It
thank
was
God.
painful.
Okay,
Well, it is.
do you want to, Cindy, do you want to stay in
Richard, what do you
the
need?
email loop that
I
was
just don't
created
want to-
around this?
Yeah, just so we, because I wanna see
I-
if we can get that strategic plan thing.
Yeah, not really.
Yeah, no, I know, cause you wanna know why? Cause I remember Richard. I remember how painful it was.
That's like 3 years ago.
You don't remember that? Well, no, then we use that one for the next one.
Okay.
Yeah, so, that's all for old business. Under new business, discussion and possible action on relocation of the Board of Directors meetings to the PCA headquarters, Jason.
So, yes, we talked a couple times about the idea of potentially relocating our meetings. And the rationale is a few-fold. For one, we have a lot of empty chairs and space every meeting. I don't believe we're getting the crowds that we may have gotten in the past. I think wherever we're talking about spending money, if it's new money, I think it's good to think about ways that we can save. I think it's a modest expense, I imagine. I don't know the specifics, but what we were saying, John, it's like
$52 a month.
$52 a month for the meeting. It's not a lot.
That could pay for our facilitator.
But yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting at, is it's just, okay, if we're gonna go here and spend more, what can we do the other side, if it can work, if it's workable. If it's really too crowded to have us all move there, I mean, obviously we do these screenings, so we have enough room to seat a bunch of people, but I like it. The other reason I like it is it grounds us in PCA. It's not, PCA isn't some abstract thing that we're talking about here at a board meeting. We'd actually be at PCA headquarters. And I like that. I think it would attune us better to the reality of the existing facility and you know, I think there's a cohesiveness there that would be nice. So, you know, there is the other reason, which I will admit to, and that is that it would be a shorter commute for some of us, but primarily, in all transparency, but primarily, if this were,
For me.
it doesn't,
First things first.
it doesn't matter. I mean, the traffic is not a big deal.
Let's leave it here.
Yeah, no, it's fine. If this were free, you know, and I felt like we were using the space, no problem, but that's basically where I'm coming from. So, discuss.
I sit on another nonprofit board and we hold our meetings at PCA.
So there's enough
How
room
many
for
board
that.
members do you
Yes.
have? How many board members do you have?
5.
5. And do you feel cramped at 5?
No, we're not cramped at all.
do you have any public attendance?
We have had occasions where we have presenters come in and talk with us, so it bumps us up to maybe 7, 8, and we do it in the studio. I don't know where you're thinking.
So it'd have to be in the studio,
Oh,
because we're
where?
open to the public then, we can't do it in the lobby.
Yeah, I mean, we have our meetings in there and use the wall and PowerPoint and,
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I could say is if we're doing it in the studio, we might have to be flexible if there's a project that needs to happen in there.
No, we would reserve it for that, and nobody could reserve it for a project.
Well, that's kind of what I'm getting at, is if someone really wanted to do it, I'd hate to.
Cindy has stories about that.
There must be other options. I mean, even in that space where Thomas's office is and Amy's office is, I mean, they're not working late.
No, that's
right?
an office, they got desks, they got stuff.
There's no
on
room
desks.
there.
We'd have to clean it up to move it.
So really, the only spot is the studio or
studio's
the
what we're
lobby,
talking
and the
about.
lobby's not an option.
I don't think so, not with the office open.
do we need to continue videotaping our meetings, do you think?
Well, that's easy in the studio, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's assuming we're all facing.
We have no, we're under
I
no
mean, I don't know
obligation
that
to
we
do
would
it.
be able to fit everybody into the camera.
No, we would have a problem there. We could fit 3 people into the camera. And that they're on one end, and I don't think, well,
Yeah, but
It's my
Well,
green screen.
if
Maybe we
you
could
have
take
no,
turns not
you have no
going.
obligation to videotape, but you have an
Oh, right.
obligation to have public
yes, it's
meetings.
a public meeting.
So,
we have to have, it has to be available to the public.
yeah, it has to be room if there ever was a mass.
Is there any
movement.
reason why if we had something that we were anticipating that would be a mass attendance, that we could not use this?
We could always
Relocate.
come back. We would
Yeah.
just- We would not
It might
be
be
able to
reserved
guarantee
as
the
preliminary.
2.
I mean, I kind of, the way I'm looking at it is, I can't really recall the last time that we had more than 2 people come. And so just as long as I've been here,
Diane brought friends.
it just seems like on average, we're really not needing this amount of
No,
space.
historically, we did at one point. It's true in the last 2 or 3 years, we haven't.
We can go to that room over there, it's a big board table.
Well, that would be another option, of just scaling down the size of
I
the
don't know
room. Does
that
that change
I
the cost?
Maybe, a little.
But, you know, and if you had to just, if we felt there was a sudden need to go to a bigger
Or the
space,
club room.
I mean, there's other places, you know, you can get rooms here, if they're not available here, you can go to this college, you can go to other places, and, you know, a week or two's notice, find a room.
Yeah, I think we could cope with that.
Let's go to the college.
let's go to
Well,
Bold Beach.
So
What
that's
I
what
was-
keep it for.
What I was
That's
wondering
another
is if we
idea.
did
We're not gonna
videotape
be
the
like
meetings, would that increase the demand by the
I
public
could get
to,
dinner.
to be at the meetings?
Possibly.
I'm sorry,
If you didn't, if you no longer videotape them, would that increase the demand for seating, for public seating at the meetings? Would people want to attend the meetings if they weren't on videotape?
I don't think so.
No, because this isn't
Would
a
hope
live
so.
meeting, so, I mean, as far as it
Yeah, it's
being
not
aired.
live.
Yeah,
But you
Okay.
can't air it if there's no videotape,
Even though I do have friends
So-
that comment on the meeting later on, they do watch it.
yeah.
I do too.
Well, I don't think we've thrown out videoing. We
Well,
just
we
said
can
that it's
continue to video.
problematic the way it's oriented now.
Right.
But
If we're gonna.
Could be a
film
camera in
that
the corner.
room, it's gonna be, there's gonna be no wide shot with everybody in it. That's not possible.
And that's fine, we'll have audio. You
training.
don't have to see
Gotta-
somebody's face. I'll sit in the corner.
So you wanna try it? I mean,
I
haven't reserved this room for January, so we haven't paid for January.
kind of like the idea for the reasons I mentioned.
I better double check. I usually do it 6 months ahead, but,
I mean, I put
Maybe
it on
both.
there.
Shall we try it?
I am
We could do
making
it.
a motion.
You could do it, shoot it like I do like my, you know, video conferencing rooms, and just pull it wide out and have everyone sitting down at a conference table and shoot down the middle. You know, everyone's gonna have a side profile shot, but.
I think it sends a nice message too, that we do try to be conservative with expenditures and,
Fine.
make
I
use of the
wouldn't try.
resources we have. We've expanded PCA, so, it's more
That's-
accommodating now.
That's how we used to do it at Casa Grande, is we had a T shape for the board meetings. And we had a couple people sitting here, and then the rest were sitting,
Yeah, so we could experiment with. The only thing I don't like about it is I wouldn't want to disrupt a project. The whole point of getting that studio in there,
It wouldn't disrupt it, we'd have the board meeting booked out, booked the spot
But
out.
that's also how
Yeah.
Santa Rosa handles their meetings, is
Yeah.
they have it in their studio. They do them at noon, but,
so I would like to make a motion that we move our board meeting to PCA headquarters. The only other qualifier I would say is that something that we should be voting on without every member of the board present? Just,
if you got a quorum, you can do what you
Fairness.
want.
oh, I know, but is it,
For that, yeah.
do you think they would mind?
I don't think Neil would mind, and I'm not real sure. I'm not sure that George would mind.
We're gonna
Well,
wait
I'm gonna
for the votes.
qualify, I'm gonna make a
'Cause I'm gonna be
motion.
calling him.
Well, I will make a motion to do it, that's contingent on unanimous approval of the entire board.
Fine.
So how's that? So if we approve it today, it goes through unless any of the board members that are not present have an issue with it.
Okay,
Does that sound good?
I'll second that. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay,
So we're moving. Good, okay.
when this lease runs out, I assume, right?
No, he's right
This
now.
here is, this is our last month paycheck.
Okay.
Unless I lost something that I couldn't find it today when I looked. But I'll double check, I'll make sure, I haven't reserved it. I usually try to stay 6 months ahead of myself, and that's why I was holding off this time for exactly this kind of shift. Because we have evolved to a point where we're not getting public, and
Put
Have
that
to
in
be-
your performance
it's gonna be,
review.
it's gonna up the pressure, because you're gonna be on each other's.
We'll put that in your performance review.
That I lost the.
You lost the lease.
The review that we have so much
Yeah.
trouble getting.
Follow through is,
Yeah, it's
Um,
like,
I'm all for small
Cindy, matter of fact,
successes.
You and I need to develop that next month or so.
the template for the review.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, because that should go out
We're
in,
gonna make it easier.
yeah.
Okay.
Oh, that can't be.
Party on. Okay, I think that's it. Anything else?
We have a closed session.
Right, we're gonna have a closed session, but we are going off camera for that. And thank you, Mario, for filming tonight, and we are adjourned to closed session.